So today we'll create a VPC and maybe 10.21.0.0/16 and 20 we are going to use for the CIDR blocks. So what is the problem if we use /24 is the maximum number of IPs we can get is 251 only. The client is having a plans like more number of IPs we are going to keep or more number of instances or resources we are going to keep in the future. That is the reason I want more IPs for my subnet is the requirement. Okay, so then we are going to design /20. Okay, so if I go for /20, can you tell me how many like IPs we are going to get? 2 to the power of the total we are going to get the 4091 IPs we are going to get it. Okay, so here 2 to the power of 12 and 4096 and anyhow 5 IPs has been reserved. Then if it is goes to like 4096 IPs, then can you tell me the next CIDR block for the next subnet? What is the CIDR block we can give?
10.22 we can give.
No, 10.22 is not at all. So 10.21 is fixed because here 16 means this 16 bits are fixed. Only these can be changed.
21.1.
Yeah, 1 is also is not possible because assume each row will take 256 IPs. When we give /24, we can give 0.0, then 1.0, 2.0 like this because one row is taken only 256 IPs. But here /20 has taken how many number of IPs? /20 has taken how many number of IPs?
409.
4096. Okay, then if each row having 256 IPs, then total 4096 IPs will take how many rows? 4096 will take how many rows?
Sixteen.
4096 IPs will take 16 rows. Then can you tell me the next row which is available? Say 16 or 17? It's a 16 or 17?
17.
No. It started from 0, right? It's started from 0. So that is the purpose. It starts from 16. Okay. So this will take again 4096 IPs and again 4091 would be available. Can you tell me the next series? So what is the last IP here is 10.21.31.255 is the last IP in that. Then what is the next series? So the next series is 32.0/16. This will take again 4096 IPs. Then in this, what is the last IP? What is the last IP?
32.255.
Not 32. We're not giving here 24. 47.2. So this is the next IP we can take. In this again we can get 4096. In this last IP is 63.255 is the last IP. So here, if it is /24, it's straightforward because one row itself is 256 IPs. But if you take /20, if you take /20, if it is /20, we are taking like 4096 IPs. That is the reason 16 rows have been used. Still, even 16,000 IPs only have been used. Even still, we have a total 64,000, 65,536, right? We have more IPs have been there in that. So those can be used for the future purpose. Yeah, any doubts on this? Yeah, any doubts on this? So mostly in the real time, we are going to give /16 for the VPCs, /20 or 24 for subnets. /24 for the subnets we are going to assign. Okay, and the maximum number of IPs we can get is in the VPC /16, and minimum CIDR notation we can give for VPC is the smallest VPC is smallest can be given as /28. So with the 28/28, how many maximum number of IPs we can get?
2 to the power of 4.
Yeah, 2 to the power of 4 means 16
16.
IPs. Even if you give that to the subnet also, slash, sorry, total 16 minus 5. 16 minus 5. Okay, 16 minus 5 is like 11 IPs we can get it. So total we are getting 11 IPs. Okay. So what are those 5 IPs have been reserved by a like AWS? We'll discuss. Yeah, here total if it is the subnet is 10.0.0.0/24. What are the IPs have been reserved is the first 4 IPs. What are the first 4 IPs in this CIDR block? 10.0.0.0.0, that is for the network address, and 0.1 has been assigned to the router. I said right, an implicit local router will get. Okay, and 10.0.0.2 has been reserved. Okay, for the DNS server. 0.3 has been not used but reserved for the future purpose. And 10.0.0.255 is for broadcasting, but that is also reserved because AWS as of now not supporting in the VPC for the broadcasting. So this is if the subnet is 10.0.0.0/24. Can you tell me those IPs reserved by AWS if it is the subnet is 10.21.0.0/20? So what are the IPs reserved? What are the first type 4 IPs? 10.21 0.0 0.1
2.
2 3. What is the last IP? What is the last IP? With the /20, what is the last IP?
0.255.
No. So with this, we are getting 4096 IPs. If it is /24, 0.255 is correct. Is it fine?
Nice.
Okay, so like this, the 5 IPs. Out of these IPs, which are there from 4 to next series IPs, all we can allocate to our instances. But these IPs have been already reserved by
AWS.
AWS itself within the subnet. These IPs have been reserved by the AWS within the subnet. And yesterday we created the subnets, right? How we can make it as a public subnet? By default, in custom VPC, all the subnets are private only. How we can make public subnet? Okay, so we need to create an internet gateway and attach to VPC, create a route table with the route. Say VPC CIDR block is so then we need to add one more route. The target is what is the target? So route table having these two routes meaning is say if it is 10.20 dot sorry 10.21 dot 0.0 slash 16 uses the local. So if it is having these routes meaning is if the IP comes from 10.21 series, use the local router. No need to go for outside any internet gateway, anything. Within the VPC, by default, the communication is going to happen. Okay. And if other than that 10.21 series, if any other IP comes 0.0, that is the reason we given, then it's going to connect using, it is going to connect using
Internet gateway.
internet gateway. So these routes we are going to configure in the route table. So these routes we are going to configure in the route table. Based on these routes, it is going to become, okay, if we attach above route table to any subnet, that will become public subnet. We can confirm if it is having only one route, then that is, if that subnet is having only one route, then that is
Private.
yeah, that is the private. By default, that is the private. If you're having two routes,
Public.
public subnet. The main route table, so by default, we are getting one main route table. The main route table rule is so VPC cider block with the local router. It is going to communicate with the local router. It is going to communicate. Okay. Say it is attached to all subnets by default. Means if you don't do anything by default, all subnets would be attached to main route table. Okay. Say if you add internet gateway to the main route table, what is the risk? If you add internet gateway route to the main route table, what is the risk involved in that?
That will become public and
All subnets will become
right,
public, right? And even if you create a new subnet also, by default that will become
public one,
public. So is it recommended or not?
not recommended.
It's not recommended. That is the reason we are creating.
VPC.
No. That is the reason we are creating one more custom route table.
Okay.
So we are not editing default is route table. Okay, so don't change default route table. Is it fine? Are you able to understand why it's not recommended to change the main route table? We are creating one more route table. Yesterday we created one more route table, right? So why we are doing like that is, say it's not recommended to directly edit the main route table because all subnets will become public with that. Okay, so then we'll come to AWS. Rajesh, is it the same password, Rajesh?
Yes.
I'm going to VPC. So we're in North Virginia. So yesterday already we created one VPC. Then I'll go to maybe Mumbai. I went to Mumbai. So here I'm going to create a VPC. So more VPC and more also can be created, but better to create only first the VPC. ITCM Mumbai. Yesterday we created ITCM project itself for North Virginia. Then here we decided to go for 10.21.0.0/16. Then based on that, we are going to create the subnets. Already 3 are there default. That means Mumbai having 3 like available zones. And in that also, what is the CIDR blocks they have given for each subnet? 172.31.0.0/20, 16.0/20, 32.0/20. So with this, the maximum number of available IPs we are getting is 4091. So these are the maximum number of IPs we are going to get it. Then I'm going to create the subnet. So our subnet we need to choose. So here we need to choose one zone. So public 1A I'm going to choose. 10.21.0.0/20 we are going to give. I'm adding one more subnet. Private 1A itself I'm going to choose. If you don't choose the zone, automatically it's going to create.
So it had given a 120 instead of 20 in the previous field.
Yeah. If we give 120 like this, it throws an error. We'll see that. So this is not okay. It won't accept it. Okay. So these two we are creating in 1A, one public, one subnet, 2 subnets, and in 1B I'll create 2 more subnets. /16 is not possible. Previous one is public or private, we'll check. So we give an ITCM public. ITCM private 1B. So 1C as of now we are not using. Say here 10.21.48 we need to use. So it is showing 4096 IPs, but 5 reserved. Then total 4 subnets we have. We want to make 2 subnets as public. So that is the reason I'm going to create internet gateway. And here below to internet gateway, we have one more resource is there. Egress only internet gateway. Egress only internet gateway is used to like make the subnet in order to make the subnet to provide the internet to IPv6 we are going to use. For IPv4 subnets, internet gateway will provide. Egress only internet gateways provides For IPv6, it is going to provide the internet. For IPv6, it is going to provide the internet. Okay, for IPv4 subnet, we are choosing IPv4 CIDR blocks itself. Okay, so then here, if it is IPv6, we need to use the egress only, internet gateway need to be attached. Then we are going to use the route tables. So by default for our, so this is our second one is our route table. And what is the main default route we got is our VPC CIDR block and target is local. And if you go and check in the subnets, by default, it has been allocated to all the 4 subnets also. So with this route, by default, all the 4 subnets have been private only because it doesn't have any internet gateway has been attached. And if I edit this route table itself by attaching an internet gateway, all the subnets will become public. That I don't want. Okay, so that is the reason I'm creating my own route table. I'm going to create ITCM public route. I'm going to create that route table. And here we need to edit the route. So other than 10.20, so if the destination IPs are 0.0, that means any public IP, use in the target is use internet gateway and attach your internet gateway. So why we didn't get is once you create that internet gateway, that has been not attached to that VPC. So go to internet gateway. So this internet gateway, or I think we didn't created the internet gateway. ITCM internet gateway I'm creating, and this should be attached to our VPC. Then go to route tables. In the ITCM public route, already route table we have. In that we need to edit the routes or add a route. If the destination is 0.0.0.0, that particular internet gateway which you have created, that we need to attach. Then I'm going to save that route, and this need to be attached to the subnets. I'll go to the subnets, edit subnet association. I'm choosing both the public subnets. So both the public subnets I'm going to choose here. Then if I go to the subnets, even from subnet to like a route table association can be done, or route table to subnet association can be done. Say here, if I go for this public 1A actions, here also you can attach the route table, edit that route table association. If I don't want this route table I can attach. But if I attach that below one, it becomes the public private only. Okay, and I'll go and check my subnet whether it's public or not. By checking the route table, I can confirm whether that subnet is So with this, can you tell me is a public subnet or private subnet?
Public.
Yeah, it's the public subnet. So with that, we can confirm whether that subnet is public or not. Okay. So then, one more setting we need to do from the subnet is auto assign IP address. Even at the time of instance provisioning, also we can do. Go to edit subnet settings, enable auto assign. Enable auto assign. We can enable. What is this option? If you choose this, by default, we are going to get the public IPs if you choose that subnet to the instances. Otherwise, we don't get the public IPs, or while provisioning the instance, we need to choose. While provisioning the instance, we need to choose. By default, it may be disable. We need to choose the option enable it. Okay, so then provision the instances in those. And additional to this, so what is the purpose of NAT gateway? What is the purpose of NAT gateway here? What is the purpose of
Give access
For
to
access
internet,
internet
but not for
to
public
private.
access.
yeah, to provide internet to
Private subnet.
yeah, to the provide. So we have two subnets, right? So in those we have some instances. They want the patching activity this weekend, but we don't want to make it public subnet. That is the purpose we are going to create the
NAT gateways.
NAT gateway. So we have one more solution is there. We have one more is there. Other than NAT gateway, we have one more solution is there for the same purpose. NAT instance. NAT instance. So we have either NAT gateway or NAT instance. So now here I'm going to create a NAT gateway. So why we are creating NAT gateway? So we have two private subnet missions. One subnet like we have one patching activity this weekend. So that is the purpose. If you attach that internet gateway route table to that, it will get the public access also. We don't want that public access. So that is the reason we are going to create the NAT gateway. So I'm going to give the NAT gateway for ITCM NAT gateway. I'm going to create. Then which subnet we need to use. So here one important point is there. Okay, so which subnet we need to use also is important. NAT gateway always need to reside in the public subnet. Okay, say NAT gateway need to reside in NAT gateway need to reside in a public subnet and need to attach to the private subnets. Say how that I'll explain. So now in this I'm going to choose say NAT gateway. Say suppose you have a hotspot. Assume your mobile you want to share the hotspot to others. Then your mobile required internet or not?
Yes, it's required.
Yes, that means you want to share the hotspot to other device which doesn't have internet. That means your mobile required the internet or not?
Yes.
Yes, so that is the reason here NAT gateway is going to provide the internet to other subnets which they don't have the internet. So that is the reason. So now NAT gateway need to reside in public subnet and attach to the private subnets. Then it provides the internet from
Internet gate.
it need to attach in the public subnet we need to keep. So it's mandatory NAT gateway, NAT instance need to reside in public subnet, and it's mandatory like elastic IP is required. So we are allocating one elastic IP here. One elastic IP is also is mandatory for NAT gateway. Then I have created one NAT gateway then what we need to do is we have chosen the VPC also indirectly by selecting a subnet. Then go to route table, create a route table. I'll call this as a ITCM NAT route. And I chosen my VPC, create a route table. And then edit the routes, add route. So normally we have attached the internet gateway, right? But here we don't want to attach internet gateway. So here we need to attach NAT gateway. We need to attach the. So how many private subnets we have? Say in our project, how many private subnets we have? So private 1A we have, private 1B we have. Okay. So then in this scenario, this I have subnets, I have what are the subnets we have, we'll see. Say private 1A I have, 1B I have. So my manager or my client said on 1B we have this patching activity. Then don't attach to 1A. Then I'm going to actions, edit route table association. And which subnet I want to attach, sorry, which route table I need to attach here?
Public.
Which route table? No, public if I attach that will get the internet also. Internet and public access also. So here I'm going to attach NAT route. I'm going to attach the NAT route. Okay, that means it's having two rules. One is CIDR. This route we can't change. 0.00. If it is internet gateway, then public access also will get. We are going to give only. We are going to give only the NAT gateway. And this route table has been attached to private 1B. Okay, I'll check these routes. This having two routes. That means this route table will give the internet to those private subnet missions. Internet has been provided. So once your patching work is done, again edit that route table, bring back main route table. So bring back the main route table. Okay, so maybe 2 hours or 3 hours we have the patching activity. If once it is done, once that work is done, So we can again bring back the main route table. Okay, so now again, if I go to the subnets, my manager said now this once it is done, next week we have for private 1A we have a patching activity. Then go and attach that route table. This NAT route table we are going to attach. This NAT route table we are going to attach. So with this for 1A we are going to get the internet because this week we have the patching activity. So once here this work also is done, again we'll edit that route table. We'll bring back again. So by mistake also we shouldn't choose public route because that will give the internet to those public missions and public access also. It's very risky in the real time.
Can we keep it attached to the NAT gateway, NAT route table always? Will it be a problem? Will
Yeah,
we leave that?
giving internet for continuously also is risky for the production servers.
Okay.
So whenever we want, then only give it.
Okay.
Is it fine?
Yes.
So, so like this we are going to create. Even we have NAT instance is there. Tomorrow we'll create the NAT instance. And one more is there here, NACL, Network Access Control List. By default, we have two VPCs, two NACLs by default we got. So by default for the default VPC, 3 subnets and our VPC having 4 subnets. The NACL rules will check. By default, NACL is not blocking any traffic. All traffic is allowed in the NACL. All traffic is allowed in the NACL. Say if you see the NACL here, all traffic has been allowed. And if you see the outbound also, all traffic is allowed. So here try to understand. Here we have 100 and star, allow and Denny. 100 is having more priority. That means if I have a rule with 100 and 200, can you tell me which one having high priority, 100 or 200? So if 100 rule is telling allow, 200 rule is telling Denny, then which one will have the high priority?
100.
Yeah, 100 having the high priority. Here, even if the star is there, Denny, that is having the least priority. Okay, but by default, all the traffic is allowed or not?
Allowed.
Okay,
Not
that means what's happening is by default with the default subnet, we are not restricting any traffic at the NACL. Only at our security group itself. That the NACL, we are not restricting any traffic. But if you want to restrict the traffic at the NACL level itself is also sometimes it's secure. You don't allow till the instance level. At the NACL level itself, we can block it. Is it fine? By default, NACL level, like that rule, inbound rule is not blocking any traffic. All traffic has been open. If we want to restrict, we can restrict at security level. We are allowing 22 because other than 22, remaining all the traffic has been blocked if you open 22 only. If you open HTTP, even in the security also, you can open all the traffic, but that is not recommended. So this NACL has been attached to subnet. Security groups have been attached to the instances. So try to create different NACLs also and attach them to the subnets. So for practice purpose, try to create those. And as of now, we use one elastic IP also. Okay, you can clean up all these. Just clean up all these subnets and all those. You just clean up all this. Okay, so what are the maximums we can create is 5 VPCs we can create. So what is the by default the maximums we can create is 5 VPCs per region. Okay, if you want to create more also we can create. So already one VPC will come per region. Custom we can add more also. Okay, so then 200 subnets we can create per VPC. How many subnets we can create? And for one VPC, we can attach 5 CIDR blocks. So what is this meaning is we have attached only one CIDR block 10.21.0.0/60 in our scenario. Like this, even if that total 65,536 IPs are exhausted, then we may use 22.0. Like this, how many CIDRs we can create? 5 CIDR blocks can be attached to one VPC. Okay, IPv6 CIDRs also we can attach 5, but as of now we didn't add any IPv6 CIDR blocks. We chosen only the IPv4 itself. Any doubts on this? And security groups are 2,500, and each security group can have 60 rules. So one rule is maybe SH is there or HTTP is there. Like this, how many rules we can add in one security group?
60 rules.
60 rules, combining both inbound and outbound rules. And 5 elastic IPs we can get it per region. Okay, so these are the default maximums, but you can raise a request and AWS decision to increase that limit also. Is it fine? Are you able to understand? So now just go through practically NACL versus security group. Internet gateway versus NAT gateway. NAT gateway versus NAT instance. So these all the things people will ask. Tomorrow we'll create the NAT instance also. And tomorrow we'll do VPC peering also. So we have one ITCM in North Virginia, we have one VPC. In Mumbai, we have one VPC. Like our client said, we want a VPC peering connection. Then how to establish that peering connection also we'll discuss in the tomorrow class. Okay. So then NAT Gateway and NAT instance need to reside in which subnet?
Public.
And need to reside in the public subnet and attach those two to the private subnet. Okay. Allow and any kind of rules are possible at NACL level or security group level. Allow and any kind of rules are possible at NACL level or security group level.
NACL level.
At the NACL level. Rule priorities can be given at NACL or subnet. Sorry,
Subnet.
security group.
Security groups.
No. Priorities also we can give at the NACL 100 star or 200. Those are not possible at security groups.
Then security groups can have 60 days.
Only which you have allowed, only that is allowed. Except that nothing is allowed. And there is no rule priority concept also at the NACL. Rule priorities are not possible at security group level. Only at the NACL itself we can give. So that's the reason try to create one more NACL, one more security group, then try to compare the differences. Okay. Is it fine? Okay. So please guys go through all these and create different VPCs, subnets, make it public and private. NAT also try to create NACLs, security groups. So these all just go through. Tomorrow we'll discuss NAT instance and VPC peering. And for the monitoring purpose, we have VPC flow logs. Those also we'll discuss in the tomorrow class.